Cleopatra, often known as Cleopatra the Father-Loving Goddess, was an Egyptian queen who rose to fame in history and theater as Julius Caesar's lover and then as Mark Antony's bride. Her full name is Cleopatra VII Thea Philopator. She governed in succession alongside her two brothers, Ptolemy XIII, 51–47, and Ptolemy XIV, 47–44, as well as her son, Ptolemy XV Caesar, after the death of her father, Ptolemy XII, in 51 BCE, 44–30. After their combined forces were routed by the Roman soldiers of Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus, Antony and Cleopatra committed suicide, and Egypt came under Roman rule. At a pivotal time in Roman history, Cleopatra actively affected events and became, more than any other woman in antiquity, the idealized femme fatale. Cleopatra, the daughter of King Ptolemy XII, was destined to be the final monarch of the Macedonian dynasty that controlled Egypt from the time Alexander the Great died in 323 BCE until Rome annexed it in 30 BCE. General Ptolemy, who later became King Ptolemy XIV of Egypt, established the lineage. Despite the fact that she was of Macedonian ancestry and had little to no Egyptian blood, Cleopatra claimed to be the new Isis for political purposes, which set her apart from the previous Ptolemaic Queen Cleopatra III, who had also made the same assertion. Coin depictions of Cleopatra display a countenance that is more lively than attractive, with a soft mouth, a firm chin, liquid eyes, a large forehead, and a prominent nose. Ptolemy XII infant son Ptolemy XIII and daughter Cleopatra VII succeeded him as king after his death in 51 BCE. Temporary peace was brought about by the assassination of the Roman general Pompey, who had taken asylum from Ptolemy XIII at Pelusium. Cleopatra understood that if she wanted to reclaim her kingdom, she would need the help of the Romans, more specifically, Caesar's help. They were both resolved to utilize one another. As he fought to hold on to his reign, Caesar sought money to pay back the debts accumulated by Cleopatra's father, Auletes. Cleopatra was adamant about maintaining her monarchy, and if at all possible, bringing back the splendors of the first Ptolemies and regaining as much of their realm, which had encompassed southern Syria and Palestine, as she could. Caesar and Cleopatra fell in love and were imprisoned in Alexandria for the winter. The following spring, when Roman forces arrived, Ptolemy XIII fled and drowned in the Nile. Cleopatra was reinstated to her throne and is currently wed to her brother Ptolemy XIV. Ptolemy Caesar, often known as Caesar Ion or Little Caesar, was born to her in June of 47 BCE. It is currently impossible to determine if Caesar was the father of Caesar Ion, as suggested by his name. The final embers of Pompeian opposition needed 2 years for Caesar to put out. When he got back to Rome in 46 BCE, he held a 4-day triumph, which is the celebration held in a general's honor following his defeat of a foreign foe, and during which Arsinoe, Cleopatra's younger and antagonistic sister, was paraded. At least one state visit was made to Rome by Cleopatra, her son, and her husband-brother. She was housed in Caesar's personal residence, beyond the Tiber River and may have been present to see a golden statue of herself dedicated in the temple of Venus Genetrix, the ancestor of the Julian family to which Caesar belonged. When Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE, Cleopatra was in Rome. Cleopatra's coroner, Ptolemy XIV, passed away shortly after she arrived in Alexandria in 44 BCE. Ptolemy XV Caesar, Cleopatra's baby son, now held the throne. Mark Antony assumed the role of Caesar's apparent heir when his murderers were defeated at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BCE. However, Octavian, Caesar's great-nephew and personal heir, was just a frail boy. Cleopatra was requested by Antony, who was now in charge of Rome's eastern provinces, so that she could discuss her role in the events that followed Caesar's murder. She delayed her departure to raise Antony's anticipation, and she headed out for Tarsus in Asia Minor with a bag full of gifts. She wore the clothes of the new Isis and sailed on a barge up the Cydnus River into the city. Antony was enthralled because he identified with the god Dionysus. As young Octavian's threat grew, Antony forgot about his wife Fulvia, who was working hard to preserve her husband's interests in Italy. Antony then left for Alexandria, where he regarded Cleopatra like an independent queen rather than as a protected sovereign. Cleopatra and Antony founded the Inimitable Livers Society at Alexandria, whose members led what some historians have characterized as lifestyles of excess and foolishness and others have characterized as lives devoted to the cult of the mystic deity Dionysus. The winter of 32 to 31 BCE that Antony and Cleopatra spent in Greece. After stripping Antony of his expected consulate for the coming year, the Roman Senate went on to declare war on Cleopatra. The naval battle of Actium, which took place on September 2, 31 BCE, and saw Octavian take on Antony and Cleopatra's combined forces, was a catastrophe for the Egyptians. Cleopatra withdrew to her mausoleum as Antony left for his final battle after the couple fled to Egypt. After learning that Cleopatra had not actually dead, Antony stumbled over his sword. In a final act of devotion, he had himself transported to Cleopatra's hideaway where he died, leaving her with the instruction to reconcile herself with Octavian. Following Antony's burial, Cleopatra killed herself. It's unclear how she passed away, but classical writers came to assume that she used an asp, a sign of celestial royalty, to commit herself. She had been a queen for 22 years at the age of 39 and Antony's companion for 11 years. Both of them want to be buried together, thus they were, along with the Roman Republic. My honor was not yielded, but conquered merely. I will not be triumphed over. Fool, don't you see now that I could have poisoned you 100 times, had I been able to live without you? In praising Antony, I have dispraised Caesar. All strange and terrible events are welcome, but comforts we despise. Celerity is never more admired than by the negligent. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.